Welcome back to my stand-up channel. John Humphreys. The week that turned out to be the strangest animal of all is humans. My daughter's favorite job, when I had a milk production, was feeding the little calves if their mothers could not. Until that day, she asked me what happened to the male calves that would not end up in the dairy herd. I told her, that was 40 years ago. She has not swallowed a mouthful of meat since. Today, she lives pretty well as a vegan chef. I can hardly remember a meal from those days that did not contain anything that once had mood, bawed or clucked, but I now enjoy her magnificent vegan dinners. Veganism, once a ridiculous cult, is becoming mainstream. It is we carnivores who feel we need to justify ourselves. What happens here? In the past week, the nation has gone into spasms because an alpaca called Geronimo was put down after testing positive for bovine TB. The reaction was simply surprising. In the past week, the nation has gone into spasms because an alpaca called Geronimo, pictured August 31st, was put down after testing positive for tuberculosis. The reaction to what happened in Afghanistan was on a different scale, but far more disturbing. Following an extraordinary lobbying operation, dogs and cats were rescued while desperate families were left to the tender mercy of the Taliban. Penn Farthing, who ran Operation Ark, denied that he prioritized pets over humans. But Ben Wallace, the defense minister, told MPs that soldiers on the ground had been diverted from rescuing people and Farthing supporters had taken too much time with senior commanders. The case of Geronimo did not have the same overwhelming moral force. In fact, it had none. But that said a lot about our strangely divided society. The animal had been tested twice for bovine TB and found positive both times. Bovine TB is a terrible disease. I know dairy farmers who have had half of their herds destroyed because of it and no one has caused any trouble. But Geronimo was sweet, and sweetness counts in this strange moral debate. Dairy cows are not cute. The philosopher Peter Singer sowed the seeds of the animal rights movement almost 50 years ago with his book Animal Liberation. His critics said it would run out of steam. The opposite has happened. A YouGov poll last week showed that 40% of the British public believe that wildlife is as valuable as human beings. The politicians have received the message. Mail revealed yesterday that there should be a new criminal act for abduction of pets, which could mean people who steal pets can spend 7 years in prison. It is the kind of sentence that can be sent to a bully who viciously attacks another human being and causes serious harm. Boris Johnson, who rarely sees a popular cause that he does not approve of, has committed his administration to putting animal sentiment at the heart of government policy. When Parliament recalls this month, it will debate a bill that formally recognizes animals as living beings. There is a problem with this. No one has come up with an appropriate definition of what feeling means in this context. We all know that animals like. We know they feel pain. We know they want to protect their babies. The reaction to what happened in Afghanistan was far more disturbing. Dogs and cats were rescued. But Penn Farthing, pictured, denied that he prioritized pets over humans. We know they enjoy their freedom. I was almost moved to tears the first time my cows were let out into the field after spending the winter months in a shed. I saw them, even the ancients with udders lolloping, as they gamboled around the field. Let no one tell me they did not enjoy themselves. So how will the new Animal Sentience Committee carry out its tasks once it has formally recognized that animals are capable of suffering? It's relatively straightforward when it comes to pets. Abuse your dog or cat, and the RSPCA has the power to drag you into court. That's right, too. Pets are a whole other matter. There should, of course, be an end to the practice that cows were separated from their calves within a few days of birth. An end to beef raised in industrial feeding stuffs. An end to chickens being crammed together in the miserable few weeks of their lives, many unable to even stand, let alone move around. All this is possible. But there is a catch. We had to pay for it. That's fine with people like me. I can afford to use a tenner on a really free-range chicken. The mother in the high-rise, who relies on an intensely bred 3-quid chicken for her permanently hungry teens, cannot. There is also another catch. The chickens and all the other animals must be killed if we are to eat them. I've seen what's going on in a slaughterhouse. Do not tell me that the animals do not suffer. That, of course, is not a problem for supporters of PETA, the world's largest animal rights organization, which will almost certainly be represented on the new Sentience Committee. They will simply tell us to stop eating meat. Last year in the UK, we killed about 2.6 million cattle, 10 million pigs, 14.5 million sheep and lambs, and almost a billion birds. So it would wipe out an old industry that large parts of Britain's rural areas depend on. Happy about it, are we? If you are already a vegetarian, you may very well be. We do not have to eat meat or fish. And vegans like my daughter prove every day that we should not eat milk or cheese or eggs either. Boris Johnson, pictured, who rarely sees a popular cause that he does not approve of, has committed his administration to putting animal sentiment at the heart of government policy. But there is a more profound question behind this great cultural change that the nation seems to be going through. Have we humans got our relationship with other animals right? For centuries, we have wiped out entire species by believing that we can control nature to our own advantage. In fact, we may well be in the process of wiping ourselves out as we destroy our own habitat. Our cruelty and selfishness are on a global scale, and for the most part we have no idea of the effect we have. You might say that we only do what other animals do, exploit the world to our own advantage and not be too embarrassed to harm other living beings. The heron I saw in my local pond seemed carefree by his conscience as he extinguished a cute little gosling. But let's go back to the Hell Airport in Afghanistan and rescue the pets. There was an issue that was not addressed directly because the very assumption behind it would have been morally repulsive. How many pets is a single child's life worth? You know the answer to that. And so do I. Therefore, the Animal Sentience Committee has an impossible task. It's a sticked question, but we have to customer everything. This is a health warning. What you are reading may cause your blood pressure to rise and there may be red spots of anger on your cheeks. Everyone should chew gum. Not just occasionally. Weekday. Yes. I share your view that the idiots who drop chewing gum on sidewalks, or elsewhere for that matter, are a disgrace to society. I welcome the announcement this week that the major chewing gum manufacturers have agreed to pay £2 million for an official chewing gum task force. What you are reading can cause your blood pressure to rise and there may be red spots of anger on your cheeks. Everyone should chew gum every day. Stock image. I have been to Singapore where it is an offense to chew gum on the streets and envy their spotless sidewalks. Like you, I'm upset about the idiots chewing big gum with their mouths half open and their jaws acting like stamps on an old steam engine. And yet I must tell you that chewing gum is good for you. I learned the hard way. Like most post-war kids, my mouth was a disaster area. No fluoride in toothpaste, no electric toothbrushes and lots of sugar. I had so many fillings that there was enough metal in my mouth to build a Spitfire. Eventually I went private. Not cheap, but worth every penny, if only for a piece of advice. Chew a little sugar-free chewing gum after every meal and drink. So I did. It was more than 30 years ago and I have never had stuffing since. It works because it helps stop the harmful bacteria that damage your teeth and, more importantly, your gums. And if that does not convince you, try this. Some of the bacteria get to your brain. And the latest research shows what researchers have suspected for some years. It's linked to a protein marker, which means you're more likely to get Alzheimer's. So chew gum and avoid dementia. Just do not spit it on the sidewalk. Source: salesground.org. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.